Okay. I think I got it now. Hey everyone, how's it going? Thank you for being here. Now I can't see where I am. Oh my god. All right. So, where is my window? Sorry guys. There we go. All right, so you got me up. Am I live? Everybody good? Can you see me? I got to get this all started. Man, this is so much work. It is unbelievable trying to get this stuff all worked out. So, let me close this out. Oh, I love it. I love it. This is all over the place. Okay, there we go. I'm on. Excellent. All right, everyone. How you doing today? How's everybody doing? Let me get this all situated. Everything was fine, and it all wasn't. So that's just how that happens sometimes. And thank you very much to Ermanno Bonifazi for my panicked calls to Italy. How do I do this? So I'm in my new little space here. Great. And, got my stuff behind me. There's my old amps. There's my two rocks. Everything. Okay. So everyone, how is everybody doing? How's everybody hanging in? Kind of crazy times, of course. And I always appreciate everybody being here. And so today, I want to talk about some really super important stuff as opposed to the other stuff I was always talking about, which was not important at all. Okay, here. I want to talk about some chord voicings that really made a big difference for me as a player. So the first thing I want to talk about is I'm going to play first. Let's do that. I'm going to play, then I come back to it, and then we'll play. So iTunes, man, sorry guys. A little frazzled by everything not working right. Okay. It's so funny, I got all these people, hey, OBS question. I've got my friends texting me right now. Can you help me with my questions on OBS? That's pretty funny. Okay, so here we go. My mix is a little weird here. I don't know what happened. Okay, so let's talk about some stuff. What's going on chord-wise, what I'm thinking, what I'm playing. So as you can see, I've attached a PDF in the Dropbox link below if you want to check that out. That will be the 6 essential chord voicings you must know, and the background track that I play there. So the first thing, I'm just playing an A blues. So my 3 chords in an A blues are going to be A7, D7, and E7. As you probably come to the conclusion at this point, those are cool, especially if you play it in the right chord. D7, E7. Those are great voicings, of course. You should learn those first. If you don't know those, you want to get those down because they are chord voicings that you must know how to play. Okay, so next thing I'm going to think about here is those get a little dull. Interesting enough, like Robin Ford plays this chord a lot. So I've learned to kind of I've learned to play that chord with more confidence. He's one of the only guys I know who will play like a bar chord like that. We'll talk about that in a minute. So the first thing is just a little bit more of an interesting chord to use in your dominant 7th. So what I'm going to check out is an A9 with no root, and that's the first chord that we have there on the PDF, whatever, paper PDF. And it looks like, you may say, hey Jeff, that's a C sharp minor 7 flat 5 chord. And you would be correct. But if we put an A in the bass, it becomes an A9 with no root. So A7 is spelled A, C sharp, E, and G. So A9 would be A, C sharp, E, G, and B. So B is the 9th. It's 1 above your octave. So 9 is equal to 2. That's a really easy way to remember it. So right here. So this voicing, if we were to play this A in the bass, which I would not necessarily do because it's hard to get and it doesn't sound that great to me. The notes are A, C sharp, there's my E, there's my G, and there's my B. So there is A9 with no root. So if you look right there, yeah, there you go, up close. Okay, so there's A9, no root. Now my closest D chord I'm going to go to is going to be D9. Right there like this. Okay? So it's regular D9, which you guys may know already. And then for my 5 chord at the top of the bat, I'm going to go for E9. So those are 2 chords that you must know. This dominant 9 root on the 5th string, which I'm sure you know, and then this dominant 9 with no root, which is a bit tricky. So when you start thinking about that chord, the first thing you want to do is just remember where that root is. Okay, that's super important because if you're not thinking where that root is, it's really easy to get lost. Okay, so I'm going to play through that just with those and see if I get my my levels right here. All right. Put the guitar down. Okay, so A9. Square track, but E9. Is those 3 voicings, but check this out. The A9 with no root, I have an E right there on my 2nd string. And when I go to my D9 chord, so D9 is D, F sharp, A. Yeah, D, F sharp, A, C, and E. So E is the 9th. The 9 is equal to 2. So if I go between my A9 to my D9, I have an E on the top of both of those right now. That's pretty cool. So it's much more harmonious. There's less notes moving around than going, right? This kind of thing, right? That doesn't sound bad, but it's different, right? It's a kind of a bit more of a primitive sound, I guess is the word you could look for. So A9, no root, D9 with the E on top. So let's play something real slow for a sec. 3, 4, like. You hear like? can't beat down the ground, but you have the E on top, right? Now I go to my E chord. I'm going to put the F sharp on top of the E9. Nice change. To that D, E on top. Now for my 5 chord, I could have just stuck with the E on top. Check this out. So. Look at the 5 chord. Watch. Right? So what I've thought about here, which is really cool, is to think about a line on top. So you're not just banging out chords and, you know, just plowing through it. You're starting to think on another level. So the first thing I want to do is see what note I can maybe have on the top. So the E9, the 9th would be F sharp. So that sounds pretty cool. I like the sound of that. Yeah, it's pretty standard and it's a big change. It's kind of nice. But we could also, like I said, have gone E7. So you have that E on top. So I love that sound. That's a pretty cool sound. The other thing we could do, which is just right off of that, if we think a little bit further, it's a little difficult to kind of finger at times. I'm going to go right here. And I can flatten out my pinky if you get it. A little tricky. I find that joint thing on that, like, boop, you know, it can be a little weird, you know? That feels a little weird to me. But you can get it. And when I go to my D9, I have the A on top. Now my 5 chord. I like going up to the B on top. Can we put the A on top of the 5 chord? Yeah, we can. We can do something like this. I'll get to that. That's pretty cool, right? So we just started kind of messing with some voicings, which I'll get to. Nice. Make sure you make that face. Okay, so once again, we have this A9 with no root to D9. Then we're going to go to E9. We can think about putting a recurring note on the top. We call that a common tone. In this case, we do it with the E. Sounds beautiful. And it either go up to the F sharp, or we can just stay on the E. Nice. Put the A on top. 5 chord go up to the B. Or we can kind of refinger the stuff a bit and get an A on top. Pretty cool sound. So it's all these things we can start to experiment with. All right, next chord in the batch there is A13 with the flat 7 in the bass. So this is a really cool one. It took a little time for me to get this one under my fingers. You know, it's this. Okay, so it's on the page there, but let me show you up close. So we have the G, C sharp. There's my F sharp with the pinky, which is my 13. And here's my A right there, which is my root, with the 2nd finger. Okay? So this one takes a little bit of getting used to. Okay, now this works beautifully. It sounds cool, obviously. A different register on the guitar. And watch. Now we're going to go to D9 with no root. Look what's happening on the top. A on top. So this D9. This is tricky, guys. This is fingering. The reason why this is so tricky is because your pinky and your 2nd and 3rd finger are kind of moving together. So if you look at it this way, the 3rd finger and the 2nd finger stay the same. So the tricky move is you're going to slide it down a half step, and then you have to just reverse your pinky and your middle finger. So that's just a little, that just takes a little bit of time. Right? Cool. Now we're going to bring it up a whole step to E9 with no root. All right, so I'm going to play those in the track. so when you guys have been really cool and telling me the tip jar link isn't working, let me just get that sorted out. It should be working. I appreciate it. So let me just post that here. It should be totally working. That's what happens when I click on that. It's working. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much, guys, for anybody who wants to help out. I appreciate that a great deal. Okay, so you don't have to. I'm just doing this because this is cool. But I would love you to do, as Phil, my lovely moderator, is doing, is if you just sign up for, subscribe and hit the bell and all that kind of stuff. Really appreciate that. Also, my Instagram channel page, can you like me over there? All this stuff helps, getting the word out about the lessons and things. And we'll talk more about that. Okay, back to the teaching. So this is at A13 with the flat 7 in the bass. Okay, then back up. Okay, and then that's D9 no root, E9 no root, that's D9 no root, back. Now here's something really fascinating that I never thought about before, because sometimes we don't think about these things in the guitar. Hold on, is it working, Phil? Tell me if it's working, just text. All right, so this D9 with no root, right? If we look at those notes, it's going to be D, F sharp, C, E, and there's my A on top. Check this out. It's that chord with no root, which is ridiculous. Like for years I didn't know that because I never thought about it. So here we go. This D9, we have D, F sharp, C, E, and A. D, F sharp, C, E, A. It's the same chord. Okay? So it's the same exact chord. Super cool to know. Anytime you want to use this, same chord. Okay, great. So now my 5 chord, E9 no root, D9 no root, back to the 1 chord. Now, interesting, one thing that Robin talked about that was really cool that I got from him was he likes to drop the pinky on this. So it's just like a dominant 7th chord. So listen to that. So I'm going to lift up the pinky. We're going to bud the pinky down. We have the F sharp. If we lift up the pinky and mute that G string, have a different sound. So let's hear that. So like, as opposed to back to that. Right? So it's kind of nice. The 13 adds a little bit more kind of jump bluesy. It's a little more harmonically complex or something like that. But if I drop that 13, that F sharp, that's a nice sound too. So that's something I picked up from Robin, which is cool. All right, so next up, I know we're going to go back through all this stuff, is we want to take it one step higher. So the first chord I'm going to play here is this A7 like this. So I'm seeing this A7 based upon my regular old A7 chord, Mustang Sally, this kind of C chord figuring. So what I'm going to do is play the voicing on the top 4 strings. And here I have C sharp, G, A, and E. Right? And then to keep, remember we're going through this, we're really keeping notes on top. We've been really thinking about, now I changed that because it sounds cool. Go back here. Or then. So if you go up top here, I'm playing this A with the E on top, A7 with the E on the top. Next thing I'm going to do, when you look at the fingering on the PDF, is D9 with an E on top. So I'm just fingering that's like a D7 chord on the top 4 strings, C, F sharp, A, and an E on the high string with my pinky. Alright, so. Now the new chord number 6. E9, and we have the flat 7 in the bass, or we have the root on top, so E9 once again, E, G sharp, B, D, F sharp. So we can drop some of the notes, but here I'm going to have the 2 most important notes. The tritone, which is between the third of the chord, which is the G sharp right here, And then right here is the D. Right there, that's my flat 7. Pinky on the E, and there's my F sharp right in the middle. Right there is my 3rd finger. You got that? A9, D9 with the 9 on top, no, A7 with the 5 on top, which would be E, D9 with the E on top, that's the 9 on top, and then E9 with the root on top, okay? So when we look at that, we get these things that match up. So let me play that with the track. 1, 2, 3. Square is playing in the way. Right, 5, 9. So as I played it the first time through, what I did was I played this position, right? And then I went to this, and I pretty much did them 3 in a row. 1 chorus, 1 time through the blues each. Live, I probably wouldn't do that. I would probably spend more time in each one. This is really kind of a demonstration of what you can do and where the chord voicings are. But if you, you don't want to go through them quite like that. In other words, play that one down here lower for 2 or 3 times through and take some variations, Right, this kind of stuff. Just kind of sparse depending what the music is. And I was thinking about the background track, it just kind of loops along, so there's no interaction. So this is right now, it's just practicing and getting the voicings together, which is an important thing to think about. Okay, so let's say you have all those. The first thing we want to talk about rhythmically, and I'll talk about how you can use them in different ways. Everything's coming from my right hand, rhythmic-wise, right? I'm playing the chords and the harmony with my left hand and the chords, but this right hand is this. So it's the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2. I would never do this, but I'm swinging it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. As opposed to it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Right? So you watch Stevie Ray Vaughan play the whole, which I'm terrible at, but this right hand keeping it going, that is the rhythm. If this isn't rolling along, this right hand, it's not going to work out really well for you because you'll be chasing the groove, right? You're going to be going, right, this kind of, and it would never feel right as opposed to just falling right in the groove, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Right? So one thing you could practice is just maybe doing beats 2 and 4, which is really a cool sound. That snare drum, right? That's exercise. 1, 2, 4, 1. So that's that snare drum. So it's a good exercise. Now I'm going to try 1 and 3. Okay. Sorry, wrong chord. Yeah. 3, 1. Add that back. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 2, 4. That sounds terrible because in blues you're not going to play really on 1 and 3 like that. That's like a polka. That's why I couldn't do it for a second. I lost track of where I was, but you don't want to do that. So 2 and 4 is a great thing to practice. I wouldn't necessarily want to play 2 and 4 in a blues like this because it would sound kind of square. So check it out. Nice rhythm would be 2, 1. And 1, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 3. So it's the downbeat of 1 and the and of 2. So how do you do that? That's really, first of all, I would say you want to feel it. You know, dunk, dump, bump, bump, like just like that. Bump, 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 that kind of thing. Bump, bump. So that is an easy way to feel it. You'd want to feel it, but if you want to count it, watch. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3. As opposed to going, I'm going to play that. I'm going to try to chase it. I'm not going to keep the right hand going. That feels terrible. Right? It's supposed to. Right? Feels great. 5. Okay, now, one thing you notice is while this right hand is going, I'm picking my hand up like a record needle, right? So I'm keeping this going as opposed to getting, which would be terrible. It's too much information, you know, this kind of coming along. So I want to pick up my right hand like a record needle and bring it back down. So. Right? Big part of all this. So it's in anywhere I'm doing it. Right? And those offbeat rhythms that I might throw in here, like. Everything's on that upbeat, but the right hand is still going, so the rhythm is being held steady by my right hand, and the actual hits that we're feeling is coming from the left hand. Okay, I'll get to some questions in a minute. I'm just not looking at the question window because it's always flipping me out. Okay, all right, and then I'll get to everybody. All right, so right hand is the key to this. All right, so let's say you've got these voicings down, and in I'm sitting in these, I'm going through these 3 spots. Well, we don't need to. These 6 voicings are really, really important. So if you look at the first 3 voicings, right? Inside 4 strings, we're thinking about kind of mainly inside 4 strings, and we have this inside 4 strings. So once again, this 9, no roots on the inside 4 primarily. We can do the pinky on top. And then the D9 we're using was thinking of 4. So we went up to these voicings up here, this A7, the 3rd in the bass, and the 5 on top, the D9 with the 9 on top, and then the E9. All right, so well, this is E9, and there's my root. That's A9, all right? This was A9. There's D9. Super cool, super cool. And then I can go up to E9. I think my options are different, but I would probably go just to the E7. So once again, I have A9. I'm going to go to that D7 voicing. Check it out. There's a nice voice leading going on. Pinky stays the same. That comes up. These 2 flip-flop. Take some time to get used to that change. Right? They move them back and forth like that. Here's something to work on. And in my 5 chord, I might just go up top. Slide it up a whole step. So let's hear that. kind of interesting too. Now, you might, after a little while, that's going to get a little boring to me as well. So I can start doing some of those root on the 5th string or the inside 4 and alternate between the top 4. So like this kind of a thing. See what I'm doing? I'm flipping between the two of them. And you can, it almost can sound a little bit like a horn section, right? Dun, dun, ba, ba, dun. You're working on these parts that support, if you're playing with somebody else and they're doing. Okay, I'll show you that in a sec. So jumping between these two is a really interesting thing to do because you're creating, once again, creating a line, creating something interesting for your ear. Now, these things take some time, and sometimes I felt like you don't want to play too much. I feel like I'm overdoing it at the moment on purpose. You have to really kind of work through it and figure out what's going to sound good. It's going to change in the environment you're playing with. If you're playing with a bunch of people, you have a keyboard player and another guitar player, you might alter the way you approach it. But thinking about just how these voicings are all open for you, and how you can create new ideas or deeper ideas as opposed to just playing, a basic 1-4-5 chord. You can make it more interesting by thinking about common tones on top and looking at the inner workings of how this chord, A9 no root, A9, changes to that D7. I love that stuff because, I used to look at it like I've got this shape, and then I go to this shape, and then I go to this shape. But I didn't take the time to think, well, okay, let's break it down, right? So here's my flat 7, my 9, my 3, and my 5 of my A chord. So there's no root in this one. I could put it in there if I wanted to. So there's no root. When I go to D7, this G moves down a half step to F sharp. The B, which is the 9, moves up to the flat 7 of the C. That's the C chord of the flat 7 of the D chord, excuse me. The C sharp moves up to the root of the 4 chord, and the A stays the same. So you get this cool. Now the 5 chord, I just went up like this. I could have gone to regular old E7 in that sense. I can do all sorts of things. And these are just the same 6 voicings, right? And I'm always thinking about what connective thing I can have going on between all of them. It is funny, like I mentioned Robin. I learned a lot of this from Robin in the past before we were working together, but it was really cool to work with him to see how deep it goes. And then I started, when I go back and listen to jazz guitar players, I'm like, oh, all these guys are doing that. I just wasn't doing it. So it's a really common thing to do, to think about the inner workings of the chord. Okay, so when we go up to this one, this A9, there's all sorts of stuff we could do. We could have a lot of fun. One move that I really like to get me up here, right? So I'm going to go for my 5 chord. Let's play from this track. Let's do it here. Watch. I'll just do it again. See where it's going to put me. Now, I've been in this area for a while. I move up here, watch. How do I get up there without just jumping to it? Now I'm up and watch. Nice smooth transition to get up there. All right, so that move, I learned it from Stevie Ray Vaughan. Boom, ba-do, 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 ba-do. And what tune is that? I don't know, but if you know Stevie's catalog, that's where I learned it from. So I'm taking this A9 no root, and I'm going to slide it up to my D9 no root. And by doing that, I never liked the sound of going. I mean, I didn't not like, but sometimes I would like a thing to get me there, right? And this is the move. So I'm on my 1, 4, and 1. Watch. So we're going to start on bar 4 on beat 2. So watch. 1, sorry, and of 1. 1, and 2, and 1. So we're shooting for this downbeat on beat 1 of bar 5. So 1 and 2 and right, and so you want to practice that because if you miss it, a little bit of a train wreck going on. So 2, 3, 4, 1, right? 5, 4, and watch. You could do it on any of those chords, right? So I took it on the A13, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. So on bar 4, the and of 1, you start that lick. And how do you time it right? My hand's moving the whole time. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. So you can't miss it as opposed to going, trying to jump on it. If the right hand's going and you know where you're supposed to place it, and you practice it, of course, the placement of it becomes so much better. Makes so much more better. Any of these things I've practiced, right? I didn't just, I'm going to do this. It pops into my head and I just do it. Sometimes you do that, but things come from practice, right? So I practiced 1. And just getting that together, because if I want it in my pocket, I want to pull it out on a gig or a performance or anything I'm doing, I need to know that I've already worked on it and it's in my bag, so to speak. All right, so one little move I want to show you in this, and by the way, guys, all this is in my blues comping. Take 5 at True Fire, Take 5 blues comping. This is basically one of the lessons from that course, and it's I forget what example it is. So a lot of this info, plus more, is in my blues comping course, if you are interested in that, over at True Fire. If you are interested in picking up on my stuff, my website, you can order through there. I'd appreciate it. 25% off on any True Fire course of mine. Okay, so we have this voice, and the one move I love, okay, so I'm going to just fill in, this is like a thing to fill in some space, so do some slow. Okay, so what's going on there? It's pretty cool. Here's my A9. I'm going to slide up my first finger, which is my 3rd, up another fret. Now, there's a bunch of ways you can finger this. I do that. There's all sorts of ways you can figure that out. So this is all going to be the A chord. Yeah, sorry, that always messed me up. Okay, so once again, I'm going to do it the way I do it. Right, so it looks like a little 9 chord, then watch. So you get another note, you get a line that's working on the inside. And that, from going from the A, which is like an A9 with no 3rd, so it's a little more open sounding. So now you have these other notes that are in common. So it's a really great sound. All right, now my 5 chord. Okay, now what we could also add in, just one more little thing, you can add in some of these, A7 this way. So, just put that into the mix. As that's terrible. Don't do that. I mean, I can kind of jump around. Don't play the wrong chord at the wrong time, like I just did. It's live. Welcome to it. Okay, so there you go. Let me just get to some questions if you have any. And I appreciate everybody, so I'm going to be squinting a little bit because my vision, I'm not the only person. I'm talking to my other friends, like, can you see that screen all right? And I'm like, no. Not really. All right. So thank you, everyone who has hit the tip jar. I really appreciate it. And all right. Any questions, let me know. All right. I'm looking at questions. Well, yes, thank you for PV Billion, I guess. 4,500 subscribers. Yes, please subscribe. I think you'll dig it. All right. I'm looking. Any questions? Hey, Corey Congiulio. Hey, man, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Corey's got a live feed. Tomorrow, Corey, if you're still on, let me know when it is. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central Time, right? I think that would be the case. All right. How do you balance practice comping and lead skills? This is from jwood7729, whatever. Okay. How do I balance practice and comping and lead skills? Oh, okay. I spent way more time on my lead skills when I was younger, and then I realized my comping stinks. And then having some really good guitar player friends who I've gotten to play with and go, wow, my comping really stinks. First thing, I try to spend equal time. And now when I get into it more, I feel like there's less of a disconnect between comping and soloing. I start to look at it as everything is sort of the same. They're really connected. Obviously, a solo is different than comping. But in terms of what I'm thinking about, I'm still thinking about melodic ideas within the comping to try to make it more interesting. It may sound ridiculous. I often have a more fun time comping depending on what the gig is. Like a funk gig. I mean, I love soloing, it's fun, but if you're bored comping on a blues gig, or if you're bored comping on a funk gig or something, then you're doing it wrong. You don't realize the depth of what you can do to do that. And I know it sounds like I was talking about like Robin Ford, but having worked with him and realizing what is going on over there and how involved his stuff is. Think about another great rhythm guitar player is Matt Schofield. We're talking about blues. And Matt will be on my live chat on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. So come join me and Matt Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And then the following weekend, David Grissom will be on with me. So two of my friends coming on to talk about this stuff as well. So the rhythm thing, I spend a lot of time. And I know somebody talked about T-Bone Walker here. It's sort of like Stormy Monday. Yeah, it's a lot like that intro was a bit like a Stormy Monday thing. But listen to those guys. Listen to T-Bone Walker. And I learned a ton from the Little Walter records from the 50s with the chess era stuff. I learned a lot on my rhythm guitar playing there. I always forget who the rhythm guitar player is, and I know it's Lockwood Jr. It's on there. There's a few other guys, and one song in particular is called Shake Dancer. Just check out Little Walter Shake Dancer. I learned a lot from that. So just listen to those records, really dig it in. And as someone like Stevie, I grew up listening to, Stevie was bluesy, or the British stuff was bluesy. But this is a different kind of comping than that, because the blues rock stuff doesn't quite lend itself to this. And Stevie did some of this stuff, but this is a little bit more of that Little Walter school of rhythm guitar playing. And I highly recommend checking that stuff out. It's really great. Plus the songs are just amazing, you know. All right. Let's see, any other questions? All right, so I'm just reading here. Everybody got the PDF downloaded okay? Okay, okay, there's a question. Okay, coming from TrueFire, what courses do you think are good for moving to late, intermediate to advanced? Well, I have a bunch of things all over this, the spectrum. So I think I like all my courses. I have to say I'm fortunate. Some where you kind of like more than others, like that were more where you think you hit it out of the park, so to speak. The advanced essentials, advanced soloing, and rhythm guitar playing essentials, I think those are really good if you want to do this kind of stuff. The comping course, my Take 5 blues comping, just 5 examples, and they go like they get from simple and they build up. But simple doesn't mean too simple. You know what I mean? So what I mean by that is you can't be too simple when you play. Simplicity is really important. So I would check out those 3 courses if you're talking about blues. All right. How do you find? I got not Mark Knopfler. Okay. How to find the right fret for the 13th chord? Okay. This voicing right here. The root is right there with my second finger. And if you're not real clear on the names and notes on the fret and all those kind of things, you need to be, but if you're having a problem with that, I understand. Here's your root right here, a whole step above. So envision that's your root right there. The chord that this is based upon is just this standard old, C7, right? Or sorry, C7 fingering, but we're doing that on A, so it's A7. So if I go to this A13, right, and I'm thinking there's my root right over there, right? So if you can envision that, keep that in your eye, that's one way to do it. Same thing with this dominant 9 with no root. I'm thinking about my root right here. I'm not playing it. Just pointing at it. Not angry at it, just pointing. Back up to that. All right, so hopefully that answered that question. Okay, this course, it is, here, I'm going to get a little link. It is really what I'm talking about right now is in my blues, Take 5 blues comping. So I'll put a link to that, but if you can just give me a second, I will find that link for you. I'll find it live. Hold on. I got that window open, and I do. Hold on a sec, guys. That is Take 5 blues comping. Oh, there we go. It starts playing, and it gets real simple like that. It's here in my TrueFire stuff. You can see it right there. There's a list of all my TrueFire courses, my website. If you just click on that link, you should see it on there. Blues comping. And if you just want to just jump right to the box, you can, I'll send you this link. I don't know if that's going to work. If you have to be so if you follow that link, you'll get it. How's that for an answer, hopefully. All right, so that would also, you can maybe try this. TrueFire cart, maybe. All right. So thank you. The backing track is in the Dropbox link. And that is, Phil, can you start the Dropbox link again for me? All right. Skydog 0, whatever, Skydog. Corey and Jeff, the 2 best instructors on TrueFire, hands down. Yeah, thank you. Corey is awesome, and a little secret about Corey, he and I are good friends. So, great dude. All right. If you like this, sorry, this is Phil. Okay, what Stevie Ray song does he do the Ascending 9 thing? It's driving me nuts. Yeah, Tom, I don't remember. Tell me something. You know, it's one of those ones, you know, they use like that really grindery thing. I don't remember. So you just have to listen to all the Stevie Ray Vaughan songs, you know. Okay. Cool. All right. So any other questions? Let me just talk about, you know, whatever you always wants to ask about on these sorts of things. Let's talk about, well, there's the gear stuff which I talk about all the time. Let me talk about my right hand for just 1 minute, because it's super important as well. To get that right hand feel right, I'm really loose. My wrist is super loose, right? I'm glad I remembered to talk about this, because this is really how you got, one of the things you have to get together to do it. It's this, right? So I'm kind of like throwing my wrist around. It's loose, like, you know, you're stirring soup or something. I don't know. Now, Vaughan live would have a lot of, it would be cool, but I think there's some drama, you know, visuals going on. He's like, you do this kind of big thing, or he'd do that weird circle figure 8 that I can't do. I never got that right. I never followed that stuff too hard because I love Stevie's playing, but for me, so many guys sounded like Stevie, you know, and I was like, I want to sound like Stevie, but I don't want to sound like Stevie, right? So that's a real kind of specific thing. But what I got is this right hand is super loose, right? If I keep a stiff wrist, everything's going to sound real choppy and tight. So I'm playing really like a loose wrist, you know, like doing that kind of thing. Right, that right hand, all the muting and all the notes are coming from my left hand. There's no muting coming from my right hand. So everything is really dependent upon your left hand to get the muting together. Now, same thing with playing some funk stuff like right, this kind of thing is this loose wrist like this. So really, really important that you get that going on. Also, a lot of people ask what kind of picks I'm using, and this is something to think about. I'm using just a D'Addario Black Ice 1.5 millimeter, slightly larger than a Jazz 3 by like a little bit, but I find it really easy to hold on to. Where I'm going with this is I'm holding my pick, my Zen approach to holding my pick, is I'm holding it as firmly as I need to, so I don't drop it. So when I'm playing, it's gonna flex, so I don't change my wrist angle at all. I let the pick not flex, I let the pick move neither up or down, and that's going to get the right pick angle for the string. I'll show you what I mean if I can up close here. So I'm just doing this. I'm not going, there's no wrist flexion or anything like that. So like, just playing some nonsense there. Sorry, I'm looking at the camera. Right, so this is going on. Same pick angle, but it's flexing like this in my fingers, and that's what's making sure that everything stays kind of loose, okay? All right. So I'm going to start going throughout the chat to try to find some of these questions. Yes, Thomas Moore, I am muting the 6th string on all these. How am I muting the 6th string? I'm on my thumb. Notice that my thumb's coming over the top. And if I'm playing those higher strings like this, right, and get this 9, look at my thumb is coming over to the top, muting the bottom 2 strings. All these. So this frees me up to be a little looser with the right hand. That's an excellent question. All right, so, all right. Thank you for having a bunch of my TrueFire courses. Play in front of the mirror, record what you're playing. S.E. Nesbitt, absolutely, yeah. You know, or film yourself. You got a computer, QuickTime, something like that. Go and watch it. Watch back. It's really cool. I'm sorry, nobody can remember that name of that Stevie Ray Vaughan tune. All right, so let's flow through this for some questions. Thank you, Phil. Any chance of going over how to count and strum that shuffle? Sure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Swung, right? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Boom, boom, tap, boom, So if you have like a loop, a drum loop is really great, but straight would be 1 and 2. So get the tempo. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1. That's terrible, right? You can't play that's not a shuffle. So a shuffle is going to be, the implied thing is a dotted eighth note, 16th, but we're not going to think of it that way. It's 1 and 2 and 3. Almost like you're kind of limping a little bit. Flat tire groove, some people call it, or like you got one shoe off and one on, so you're walking a little weird like that. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Boom, ba dee da boom. Right? It's not. It's, So same thing. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Practice those upbeats. 4, 1, and your foot. Let me explain downbeats and upbeats, just to be pretty simple about this. I'm tapping my foot on down, right? 1 and 2, and my upbeat is the and beats, right? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So I'm doing the upbeats, and what my pick is following my foot. 1 and 2 and 3, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So these are my upbeats because my foot is up in the air. My pick is up in the air. It's upstroke. Downstroke is my downbeat. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Or 1, 2, 3. Play those both. That is the wrong track. Okay, here we go. So 1, and we'll do downs. Like Freddie Green. Good thing to practice. All downs. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Right? Ups. Pride, joy, all ups. Now let's try to do this. We're going to do down, down. Right? So there I'm having a little fun and just doing all downs for a bar and up for a bar. So you can play these mental exercises, and it's really helpful to kind of feel that. So hopefully that answers that question on counting those things within a blues. All right, let me see if there's any other questions. All right. Right, blue, yes, Matt Schofield on Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. So Matt's going to come in, and we're going to get together. He's going to teach a little lesson, then we're just going to shoot the breeze. Great guy, good friend of mine. And then the following weekend is going to be David Grissom. And upcoming, as I said before, Robin Ford's coming on, Sonny Landreth, a whole bunch of my True Fire friends. Tim Lurch, that should be a ton of fun, bringing in more of a jazz player. James Hogan, Josh Smith is coming on. Yeah, some other, and tons of other people too. Corey Congilio coming, and Brett Papa. Brett Papa's coming up. So, all right. Before I wrap it up, I want to ask any more questions out there. And hey, True Fire stopping in earlier. Yep, everybody, True Fire. All right, I know it seems kind of silly me sitting here reading this. Appreciate everyone who's on here. I totally appreciate anybody who's hit the tip jar, and please follow. I have a True Fire classroom or a channel coming up soon. I'm just trying to get it going. There's a lot of stuff to do, which is kind of cool. This has been pretty busy doing this and other things. So I'm really looking forward to that coming out. All right. There we go. Okay, so final thoughts. before I check out. First of all, like I said, thanks to everyone. I really appreciate this and you joining me. It's time for everyone, and I especially here in New York, people have passed away from it already. So it's people that we know, or it's everybody's going to know someone, which is horrible. So this is just great to spend some time together and just talk about guitar and just do this kind of stuff. To me, that's the most important thing that we're doing right here is just hanging out and talking guitar. So one final thing with this is listen to as much stuff as you possibly can, right? Play along with the original records all the time. Listen to the original stuff, like really focus in on it, and just think about what exactly it is that you're trying to do. Hold on. Some people are saying that the Dropbox link is not working. Hold on. Boy, let's try that again. I'm going to throw it in. I say, share folder. I'm going to share. I'm going to get it now. Create link. Hold on. I'm doing it live. Copy link. Copying the link. Here's my copied link. And there we go. Let's see if that's working. I don't know. I just copied it and pasted. Okay. So anyway, listen to the recordings. Like, people always say, the True Fire courses I do, I love them. I love doing them, and they're so great, and we can break these things down. But I even tell everybody there, like, learn what I showed you and learn the background parts, and I break them down. But always go to the source material because it is the source material, and as a musician, you need to know it. When I first started getting into blues, it was a little later. I was always a British blues guy, like, Blues Breakers and Zeppelin and all that kind of stuff. But what happened with me was, I started going, well, that Zeppelin tune, that's Howlin' Wolf. Like, oh, well, who's Howlin' Wolf? And I went and started listening to Howlin' Wolf and realized there was a degree of hubris on my part. It was like, well, that guitar playing's not that good, and then I realized I was a complete idiot in not understanding the difference between great technicians versus just great music and feel. Important things. So when you're listening to these records, and I love sometimes these guitar parts can be sloppy. So I learned a lot. The Little Walter stuff is really huge for me. Lightning Hopkins, and then all the blues rock guys, that we all know that I love. Peter Green and Eric Clapton and Mick Taylor and Gary Moore and all these guys who followed a little later with that. So, all right. Any last final questions besides a big thank you for everyone? And thank you so much to Phil Mingan, who is taking care of my stuff here. All right. Cool. All right, guys. So this Saturday morning, and every Saturday morning, I'm going to have interviews until this is all going on, until this is all done, hopefully, or maybe just keep on doing it because it's a ton of fun. Matt Schofield will be joining me, and every Wednesday at 4 p.m. I'll be doing this. And thank you very much for everything, and I'll see you guys soon. Any questions, you can shoot me an email. You can text me through, you can shoot me an email at jeffmcerlain.com. There's a contact thing there. You can do that. Or you can shoot me a note here on TrueFire, on YouTube. All right, guys. See you later.